This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. We have Bobby here. We're gonna talk about travel with dementia patients. So this is something new. So I'm gonna be listening. I'm not gonna talking too much. Go ahead.
Okay, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I have some notes here to try to keep me on task here. But good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about traveling with a dementia patient. Um, it can be fun, but it can be a little taxing too. So one of the things you want to do is to coax them nicely in to try to get them to leave the house, because sometimes they do not want to leave familiar surroundings. So you talk to them softly and nicely. Um, but if you're taking them to the doctors or whatever, please don't tell them that. You want to make it pleasant. Uh, Make sure that they're able to get in and out of the vehicle without problems. Sometimes people have SUVs that do not have running boards or do not have that are high, and the person would have to step up. Make sure it's going to be easy for them to get in and out of the vehicle, because that can be discouraging also. Have the person sit in the front seat next to you. The reason being, you can keep a better eye on them, but if for some reason they have to sit in the back, put them on the passenger side so that you can see them better. If they're directly behind you, it's a little harder to see them and to see what they're doing. In the vehicle, you should wear a mask unless you're used to being around this person or whatever. But sometimes if this is their first time traveling in the vehicle and you've had other people in there, it might be great to have a mask on while they're traveling in that vehicle. A lot of times dementia folks tend their body temperature tends to sway back and forth from hot to cold. So I would suggest that you take a sweater or jacket with you. Um, if not a sweater or a jacket, have a little throw in the vehicle that you can put around their legs or their arms if they get cool, especially if it's summertime and you have the air conditioning on. A change in temperature can cause them to be a little disoriented and can cause them to get a little upset. Um, Encourage them to identify things as you drive, especially if you're in a familiar area. So if you're going by the high school that they used to attend, ask, do you remember that place? Can you tell me something about it? Or if you're going by a playground where they used to take their children to play when they were younger, anything that's familiar that would help with their memory, that is a great opportunity to use that. Also letting them, especially if they used to love to read, let them read billboards, read street signs. My lady loves to read the street signs. So she's my navigator. She basically, she'll tell me what sign that says, or if it says to turn right, she's my navigator. But she used to love to read. And because she loved to read, I try to make sure that I'm going places where there's signs that she can read. Um, Play soft music if at all possible. You can have some oldies that might bring back memories for them, or some light jazz, something on the radio, but play it softly so that if they decide they want to talk to you, you can still talk over the music if necessary. If it's a nice day, weather permitting, have the windows cracked so they can get some fresh air, especially if they're constantly cooped up in the house. Fresh air will do them good. So if it's a nice day, crack the windows a little bit and turn the air conditioning off, and let them have some fresh air. Another suggestion, and this is something I found that works with my client, we go to the park. And she likes to watch, this particular park has a little lake. She likes to watch the ducks in the pond. So we sit in front of the pond so that she can watch the ducks. And in a lot of cases, their parents there with their little children, and they're feeding the ducks. And she gets so excited to see that. Now, I have not taken her out of the vehicle to try to feed the ducks because I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if she might decide to try to run the water and I wouldn't be able to catch up with her. So I do not take her out of the car, but I have her sitting where she can see the lake and watch the people feeding the ducks and watch the children playing on the playground equipment and people interacting. She tends to smile a lot when I do that. She tends to really get excited when she sees these people interacting at the park. So that's just a suggestion.
Mhm.
If the person is able, have a meal out. And I don't necessarily mean at a restaurant.
Mhm.
What I did yesterday afternoon, we went to a fast food restaurant, got our meal, and we went to the park and we sat at a picnic table and ate. And she enjoyed that. So I just spread out some napkins and we put them on the table and we ate our food sitting at the picnic table outside. And you would have thought I had, given her $1 million. She was so excited about being able to sit outside and eat her food. So so much so that she didn't want to get back in the car. So that became a problem trying to get her back in the car because she wanted to stay out there. So we stayed for a little, even after she finished her meal, we sat there for a little longer. But I was ready to go back home because I was tired. So so we sat there a little longer and I let her enjoy just sitting on that part at that park picnic table. And I think we're going to do that a little more often
Oh
until
yeah,
the weather gets to the point where we can't do
right.
it outside anymore. But the fact that she enjoyed it so much, that's something new that we're gonna try more and more. Watch the person when you have them in the car because sometimes they tend to drift off to sleep.
Mhm.
And so you want to make sure that their head is not going to butt up against the window or whatever if you make a turn. So just kind of watch. In my case, when the car starts moving, she gets sleepy. So I have found that in the evenings before bedtime now,
Mhm.
put her in the car and take her for a ride.
It's
I take her for a ride now
like
in
a
the
baby.
car. Yeah, like a baby. As soon as the car starts moving, she tends to get sleepy.
Mhm.
And so we'll drive around. And again, I'll crack the window so she gets some fresh air. And then by the time we get back to the house, she's ready to go to bed. So I have found different things, just trial and error. And that's what happens is trial and error. You try something to see if it works.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work, you try something different.
Mhm.
But when you're traveling with them, you may even want to have some type of little snack,
Mhm.
especially if the person is diabetic. You
Mhm.
don't, if you're going to be gone a little while, you want to make sure, have something that now, depending again on their diet,
Mhm.
in my case with her, some celery with some peanut butter in it, something. I don't do a lot of sweet stuff.
Mhm.
Some carrots, anything or some grapes,
Mhm.
things that she can snack on while we're traveling, because sometimes she gets a little hungry and I don't want her to get antsy, but I don't want to give her anything that's going to mess up her dinner.
Right.
So, or her lunch, depending on when we're out.
Right.
So it's just something light, but not a whole lot of sugary or fried things like potato chips or things like that you want, but like maybe a package of crackers or something, and maybe a little juice box,
Mhm.
but just something that could tide them over until you get back to the house. You may not need it, but if you see that they're getting a little restless while you're driving, then stop and give them their little snack. You'll pull over somewhere and give them their little snack, and that should keep them occupied until you get back to the house.
Mhm.
Traveling with a person with dementia can be a pleasant thing because it gives them a chance to get out of the four walls that they're used to. But then again, it can be a little taxing. So patience, patience, and I can't say it enough, patience
Mhm.
when you're traveling with someone with dementia.
Mhm.
Um, it can be, like I said, it can be a good tool to use,
Mhm.
especially if the person has gotten a little anxiety.
Mhm.
This can be a way of helping to calm them down or get them in a mood where you can work with them a little better. I have found putting her in a car and riding with her can be a pleasant experience for both of us because we'll talk or I'll point to something. I say, "Oh, do you see the cows over there?" And she'll look at me like, "Okay, what are you talking about?" And then I'll say it several times, "Cows." cow. And then she'll perk up. It's like, oh, I recognize that. I understand what that is. But you may have to repeat yourself a couple times to get them to understand what you're talking about. Or you may even have to pull over. And if it's a safe place to pull over on the shoulder so that they can see the horses or the cows or whatever happens to be in that field. We actually pulled up at a field one day and there were deer out in the open field. Well, she recognizes that because deer come into her backyard at the house. And she's used to seeing the deer out the window. So when I showed them to her in that open meadow, she recognized that right away. So that it's good to, especially if you're able to travel in a country type area where there's an open field where you will see cows or horses. Right. Yeah. Now you're not going to see that if you're in the city.
Right.
If you're in the city, it may be a little different. You may try to get to a park or someplace and get away from the noise. Noise can tend to irritate them a little bit, so you don't want to do that. So the whole idea of traveling with them is to make it pleasant for them. Again, if you are in the city area, then you want to keep the window up and play the music loud enough to drown out all that excess noise of possibly hearing sirens and things of that nature, things that could possibly upset them. So that would be a time when you'd want to turn the music up just a little louder to drown out those outside noises, because listening to a police siren or a fire truck and all could upset them. But basically traveling with a person with dementia can be a pleasant experience. Oops, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I just wanted to find out, have you take them somewhere? You say doctor office, what other places you travel with them? Just example.
Well, like I said, I haven't done real long distances. I still have a P.O. box in my former town where I live. So what we did yesterday, that's why it was a long day yesterday. We went to the town where I used to live so I could check my P.O. box. And that's why I went to a fast food place and got food. We went to a place called Bojangles and got, she likes those Supremes. So I got her a box of those. And then we just stopped at the park and sat down at the park picnic table and ate. So it was a long day for her, but it did wear her out enough that she was ready to go to bed when it was bedtime.
So you never take her to like shopping? Do you think that's more challenging?
Now, I've only taken her to the grocery store with me a couple times.
Okay.
And when I do that, I make sure I give her a task, and that is pushing the cart. Because if her hands are on the cart, it keeps her from picking up things. Because I know her sister who used to take care of her said, we don't take her anywhere because she picks up things.
Right.
And I'm saying, well, you've got to give her something to do. So in my case, she pushes the cart. So as long as her hands are on the cart, she is not touching anything else.
Right.
So I've taken her grocery shopping with me several times. We had one bad experience because she had short sleeves on and it was cold in the grocery store. And she kept saying, cold, go home, cold, go home. So she did not want to be in the grocery store. So I cut that one real short because she was cold. But normally I don't have a problem with taking her out to someplace like the grocery store or walking with her. Now I take her to her doctor's visits and she walks very slow.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, they take these real tiny steps, they walk very slow.
Right.
So I have to make sure I allow myself enough time that we can walk in. I was teasing her one day. I said, you're going to cause us to get hit by a car. I wanted to see if she'd understand that. And she looked at the car that was coming and she picked up the pace. So she understood that, you know, we've got to get across the street before we get hit.
Right.
But everyone is at a different stage.
Right.
But most cases she walks very slow. So I have to allow enough time for getting her into the doctor's office, getting us checked in and all the different things there. But again, I do not tell her when we're going to the doctor's office. I know her sister used to say she hates to go to the doctor's office. And I'm thinking, but you told her that, right? And she said, yeah, I tell her we're going. No, don't tell, because she's associating that now with the doctor, getting a needle or whatever. So I just said, we're going for a ride. And she loves to hear that. When I said we're going for a ride, she's ready to go. Same thing when I have to take her to the adult daycare.
Mhm.
If I say we're going to daycare, she doesn't want to move. I
Right.
don't tell her that. I just say, we're going for a ride.
Mhm.
And because she likes to ride in the car,
Mhm.
she'll get up and be ready to go. As a matter of fact, she'll try to beat me to the car.
Mhm.
And I've had a couple cases where she wanted to get to the drivers. I said, "Oh, you can't drive." And she'll look at me real funny. I said, "Oh, no, you can't drive my car." But she likes to travel. She likes to go out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
if they are in that position, that's a great thing to do.
mhm. So of course, during the COVID, I think a lot of people had to prepare the mask, sanitizer, and all that to make
Right.
sure the car has a sensitive for that.
Right.
So I guess you only take her to certain places. So um, I think people maybe have avoid taking their dementia patient out because the community would think they weird or they strange. Do you ever happen to have that kind of situation? No?
People do look at me a little because I'm holding the hand of this senior citizen,
Right,
but then again, they realize she's a senior citizen, so they're looking at the fact that I'm trying to make sure she's safe.
right.
But I've had a couple people, and most cases it's children that will look and they'll stare, but then they'll smile. And she loves children.
Mhm.
So she'll smile back at them.
Mhm.
And that's something that's really pleasant because she
Yeah,
loves to see the children. And that's why I take her to the park where the children are playing on the playground and stuff. Mothers are there with their little kids while the
right.
older ones are in school or whatever. So I generally do that during the day on a Saturday or Sunday after church.
Mhm.
That way she gets to see these children playing in the park. So
Mhm.
that's something we do just about every weekend is to we have an outing every weekend.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
did she didn't go to like a church service and something like that?
No, she doesn't go out. We do that online,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
she'll
okay.
watch it. She'll watch it online, and then generally after that goes off, I'll fix her lunch, or we'll go out to get something to eat. But then, like I said, we try to go to the park or some
Right.
place that's familiar to her and that she feels comfortable with. And like I said, yesterday I decided to go back to Kannapolis and go to my
Right.
PO box. I hadn't been to my PO box in like a week, so I knew I needed to go check my mail.
Mhm.
And she enjoyed that outing, and she dozed off to sleep on the way back. But yeah, by the time bedtime came around 9 o'clock, she was ready to go to sleep.
Okay.
So
Thank you
that's
so
pretty
much
good.
for sharing that information. I just want to give you a scenario. So what is the place you want to take a challenging, if you think she will be not like it, but you want to take challenging her, what is the place you think it will be?
A challenging place,
Yeah.
a mall. You would not
Yeah,
want to take them.
I was going
No,
to say, yeah,
no,
maybe
you would
too
never take a
much.
dementia patient to the mall. Too much confusion, too much
Right.
noise,
Mhm.
too big a place.
Mhm.
You don't want to go any place large like that. Like I said, I've taken her to the grocery store.
Right.
Um, and the aisles are wide enough. She's
Right.
pushing the cart.
Mhm.
We can deal with that. But a mall, never, ever, no. That
Right.
would really cause a lot of confusion. So
Mhm.
that's one place I would never know.
Thank you so much for sharing that
You're
information. It was
welcome,
really
and you have a
important for, yeah, it's very important to know about those kind of tips, and it's gonna be very helpful. And
yeah.
yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, take
Okay, have a good
care.
week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening our you put for the dementia mini series for the 05 and trouble with dementia. So the dementia patient can be challenging, but still you have to take them out once in a while. And remember what Bobby had mentioned about the tip. Don't tell them where you're gonna go, just say you're taking a ride. Enjoy our dementia mini series. We have several have been posted, and hopefully you enjoy it.